Yes, senora.
So, this is about Mexico City. I happened to be down there during Day of the Dead for a Right to Die conference, which it seems appropriate. It was not a coincidence. And so, here's a lot of pictures from Day of the Dead, some of which I saw, some of which I borrowed. And I've learned a lot about it since then. I think probably some of you know more about it than I do, so pipe up. So, as you probably know, Mexico City is the most populous city in North America, with 9 million people living in Mexico City itself and 21.3 million people in Greater Mexico City. So it's the largest Spanish-speaking city in the world and one of the most important cultural and financial centers in the Americas. It's located in the center of Mexico. I didn't show a map of Mexico, but it's right in the middle, and has an altitude of 7,350 feet. So some people actually get little air sickness when they come there. Buenos dias. You can see. So I was invited to speak at the meeting of the Mexico Right to Die Society, and it was a very elaborate meeting. Right plunk in the middle of Day of the Dead, they did everything to emphasize Day of the Dead because it's a very cheerful holiday in Mexico, nothing morose about it. And about Mexico City, which has essentially its own government, can pass its own laws. The local government has passed a wave of liberal policies such as, oops, that's abortion, not litigation, on request, a right to refuse unwanted medical treatment, no-fault divorce, and same-sex marriage. Excuse my spelling. But that's one of the little altars that was in the hotel with the cutout papers and the pictures and the skeletons, which I'll talk about later, what is usually on an altar.
This is just a local government.
Wouldn't think of that.
Local government of Mexico City, which has a lot of power in itself. This is a Right to Die meeting. No more local government. That's me, my place. And you can see all the marigolds and the appropriate flowers that were used in the hotel. This is drew a big crowd and lots of press attention because this local organization is a Mexican organization, is doing a lot to emphasize that Mexico should pass a Right to Die law similar to what we have in California.
Did you have an interpreter?
Faye, what power does the church have? I'm surprised that...
I think we need to save the questions for the end.
Okay.
One of the speakers was Frances Kissling, who started Catholics for a Free Choice. So she's doing a lot with the church itself. The church has a lot of power, but you see liberal abortion laws, liberal divorce. The church is losing its power, just like in Italy, which has one of the lowest birth rates in the world, even though the church is located there. So there I am. It was a very well organized meeting. This is one of the hotel altars. Marigolds is the thing, although they have a different name there. And the hotel was beautiful. The food was very good. So, Dia de los Muertos, which I don't think I'm pronouncing right, is not a Mexican version of Halloween. I'm sure you knew that. Though related, the two annual events differ greatly in traditions and tones. Now, I got this description from some Mexican website, and you may not agree with it. Whereas Halloween is a dark night of terror and mischief. I don't think so. Day of the Dead festivities unfold over 2 days in an explosion of color and life-affirming joy. But later on, you'll see some pictures of what I saw in the streets that looked actually pretty sinister. The theme is death, but the point is to demonstrate love and respect for deceased family members. In towns and cities throughout Mexico, revelers don funky makeup and costumes, hold parades and parties, sing and dance, and make offerings to lost loved ones. So how many of you saw Coco? Oh, you should see it. It's a terrific movie about Day of the Dead. It really does it justice. It's a beautiful movie. I think it's going to be the Academy Award winner in some category soon. It's much better than seeing this, but if you haven't seen Coco, you can see this. So this is some of the things you see on the street. These are friendly skeletons, of course. Some of the posters, it brings out a lot of imagination. These masks that people wear. She has a special significance, which we'll talk about later. There are parades. I left just as the parade was starting in front of my hotel. Day of the Dead originated several thousand years ago with the Aztec, Toltec, and other Nahua people who considered mourning the dead disrespectful. Interesting. For these pre-Hispanic cultures, death was a natural phase in life's long continuum. The dead were still members of the community, kept alive in memory and spirit. And during Dia de los Muertos, they temporarily returned to Earth. In my humble opinion, it's a lovely way to honor the dead. We don't do it, although more communities are doing it here in San Diego. In San Diego, there's a wonderful Day of the Dead parade in Old Town. Really very beautiful. So the idea of paying tribute to the dead and keeping them in memory is something we don't do very easily. We think death is a very morbid thing and we don't celebrate. But that's not true in Mexico. So today's Dia de los Muertos celebration is a mashup of pre-Hispanic religious rites and Christian feasts. It takes place on November 1st and 2nd, although I got in there October 31st. So All Saints Day and All Souls Day on the Catholic calendar around the time of the fall corn harvest. Some characters. It really brings out very interesting art, the kind of art you'll see in the movie Coco. There's no mourning. Dia de los Muertos is a time of joyous celebration, not sadness. The Aztecs did not believe in mourning their dead, as tears would make the spirit's journey more difficult. Rather, they celebrated their lives and memory. Quite a parade. More about her and her. There she is, okay. Calavera Katrina. Katrina is the person that you see in these, with these women's makeup. Was born in 1912 from the imagination of Mexican artist Jose Guadalupe Posada. But that wasn't her name back then. Posada published the first illustration of this grand dame of death under the name of La Calavera Carranca as a social criticism of the indigenous Mexican women who rejected their roots and tried to pass as European. So she was sort of mocking these women. Should we wait for the phone to turn on?
Some people have a theory.
Pretend it's Mexican mariachi music. So, it was Diego Rivera who took the work of Posada and gave it a body. Literally in his mural, I'm not going to try that in Spanish, in 1947, Dream of a Sunday Afternoon along Central Alameda. Rivera painted the full-bodied skeleton lady as the central piece of his mural and called her La Catrina, the feminine version of the Catherine, a bon vivant dandy in Mexican culture.
There's Frida Kahlo, too.
Where is Frida Kahlo? Oh, next to her, that's right. Very good, yeah. By the way, this is Hilda's death mask. She contributed to the talk today.
I got that at a Day of the Dead party. Everybody had their own. It was made by the host.
Doesn't look like you at all, Hilda.
Who could tell?
So it's due to the merger of Mexico's pre-Hispanic ideologies, the Mexican people's historical focus on death, that is, their willingness to both laugh at it and embrace it with a loving familiarity, and the classicism prevalent in the Mexican society, that the Catrina became the embodiment not only of death as a neutralizing force between the rich and the poor, but also a powerful symbol of what the Day of the Dead in Mexico is all about.
even like candies and cakes are in the shape of
Katrina.
skeletons.
Yeah. Over 500 women gathered in Mexico City on November 1st, 2014 to set a Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of women dressed as Katrina. You didn't know there was a world record, but there is.
2014?
In 2008, UNESCO recognized the importance of Dia de los Muertos by adding the holiday to its list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Today, Mexicans from all religious and ethnic backgrounds celebrate Dia de los Muertos, but at its core, the holiday is a reaffirmation of indigenous life. It's considered an indigenous holiday, as you can see from this particular parade here. Those paper cutouts are universal. So, something about the altars, or the ofrendos. And you'll see a lot of those in the movie Coco. I used to think these were just sort of random assemblages of things, but they're not. They have a very particular selection of what's on there. Every ofrendo also includes the four elements: water, wind, earth, and fire. Water is left in a pitcher so the spirits can quench their thirst. Papel picado, or traditional paper banners, what you just saw, represent the wind. Earth is represented by food, especially bread. And as Hilda mentioned, there are special breads for Day of the Dead. Candles are often left in the form of a cross to represent the cardinal directions so the spirits can find their way. Here's an altar de muertos. So, November 1st and 2nd, to honor the dead children and adults, I believe it's October 31st. Yeah, October 31st, the altars are made to the children. The belief is that the souls of the ones gone can come back to this world on these days. The altars show the souls the way homeland and make them feel welcome and show they are not forgotten. Children's altars are put out October 31st with white flowers treated with sweet tamales, cider, hot chocolate, fruits, candies, and toys. This picture is not necessarily a children's altar. Isn't it beautiful? I'm going to call it the marigold, because I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is a type of marigold flower. I thought they were marigolds. Native to Mexico, often placed on ofrendas and around graves. You just saw that in that other slide. With their strong scent and vibrant color, the petals are used to make a path that leads the spirits from the cemetery to their families' homes. Monarch butterflies play a role in Dia de los Muertos because they're believed to hold the spirits of the departed. This belief stems from the fact that the first monarchs arrive in Mexico for the winter each fall on November 1st, which coincides with Dia de los Muertos. They arrive in the south in a very special place. Of course, their numbers are diminishing. I went to see that place, but there were no monarchs because it was the wrong time of the year. That's another story. So, calabritas, sugar skulls, along with toys, are left on the altars for children who have died, not passed in school. The skull is used not as a morbid symbol, but rather as a whimsical reminder of the cyclicality of life, which is why they are brightly decorated. Ancient Mesoamericans believed that death was part of the journey of life. Rather than death ending life, they believed that new life came from death. This cycle is often associated with the cyclical nature of agriculture, whereby crops grow from the ground, where the last crop lies buried. Dia de los Muertos is an opportunity to remember and celebrate the lives of departed loved ones. Like any other celebration, Dia de los Muertos is filled with music and dancing. Such a nice way, I think, just beautiful. So we know that part. This is quoting an old Greek. The life of the dead is placed in the memory of the living. Traditionally, families, and we saw lots and lots of families on the streets, honor the dead by gathering at home or at the grave sites. in serving the favorite foods of the departed at the graveside or leaving it as an offering. The belief is that the spirits of the departed need food and drink to sustain them in their travels between this world and the next. Although it's best known as a Mexican holiday, El Dia de los Muertos is celebrated throughout Latin America and beginning to be celebrated here. Catholicism, the Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day coincide with El Dia de los Muertos, but not the same thing. So, on the eve of November 1st, the child elements are discarded or eaten, and the adult altars created. Colorful flowers are added with spicy tamales, alcoholic drinks, and cigarettes. These are the elements that you generally see on an ofrenda. An arch, the entrance to the world of the dead, that's what it symbolizes. Paper flags. I'm not sure this particular one that I'm showing has all these elements, but most of them do. Paper flags with saints, figures, skulls, and skeletons placed like a tablecloth. We'll see some of these later. And the pan de muertos, the bread, which differs by region and is fraternal offering to the souls, and the candy skulls that Hilda mentioned. Sugar, chocolate, or amaranth seed skulls represent the death in its very moment of presence. Here you can see the picture and the marigolds, of course. And some of the other candies are down below. Copal is the resin of the tree that has the same name as burn to purify the place and to attract the souls with its sweet smell. And often you can, as you pass them, smell them. Salt is there. A small place with salt is set in the altar as a purifier element. Personal objects. In some areas, the honored tools, clothing, or toys are added to the offering to make them feel at home. Ornaments, candle holders, incense burners, paper mache or clay figurines such as skulls or skeletons, doing a certain activity, or animals. I think this Hilda's death mask would be appropriate. In some areas, a clay dog is set in the altar to make the children feel good, its children's souls feel good in their arrival to the fete. Spirits are there, tequila, mezcal, pulque are offered to help the adult should relax with the family, maybe a pack of cigarettes too. Candles are there, religious elements are there, you can see the cross here. Patati, or palm tree leaf woven carpets, appear in another one. Pan de muertitos, the bread, the cakes, and the candy skulls. Candles, the food. So, depending on the region, different special foods are made for Day of the Dead and left on the altars. And of course eaten afterwards, they don't go to waste, in case the spirits don't show up. The souls will only take the essence out of the food, which is very nice of them, and drinks. So at the end of the celebration, or in some places during the event, the family will gather and eat and drink the offered goodies and often share them with community members. Here's some, not exactly altars. Lots of flowers. Floats that are in the parade. That's a very indigenous picture, although they're wearing masks. This was pretty late at night, and the place was filled with little kids. But many of them dressed up. There's a Santa Claus. This is November, so. This is the Opera House. I'm not sure I have that right. Bellas del Arte. We were going later. This is in front of Bellas del Arte's. There it is, yeah. This is where we went to see the Ballet de Folklorico, Mexico Ballet de Folklorico. And the woman singing was a peasant woman wandering around. I thought I had her picture there, but I don't. She had a lovely voice, and it gave a very sort of sacred air to the whole thing. This is a poster in front of the Buenos Artes. They have all kinds of events there, symphonies and dances and musicians from all over the world. You can hear her still singing. There's a big, like, igloo there made of flowers. I'm not sure what the significance of it was. This couple, I think, win the prize. They look terrific. There's the Palacio official poster of it. I'm not sure what that is. This was the cathedral, I think, on the Zocalo. This is the Zocalo, the city center, filled with people, with the biggest flag I've ever seen waving around. It was cloudy, and later on it rained, which sort of obviously dampened the festivities. This is a sort of carpet made of flowers. You can see how crowded it is. There's some things here that were pretty spooky, I thought. People dressed in very scary costumes. Here's a paper cutout. Espero su check-in, I think means waiting for you to check in. That to me is scary. We were fortunate to find a hotel since we were looking for something to eat, and it was so crowded. And it was regular chain, I can't think of the name. That's the lobby of it. And the festivities went on in the balcony, which was about the 12th floor, which give you a wonderful view of the Zocalo. Stuff like catching a breeze. There's people eating. Our seat. So you'd have to have mariachi music to go with this. And I was having trouble getting it on the slide, so there it is. It's downstairs. They have a little altar, I guess you'd call it. And a nice statue. So we will see Day of the Dead and Virgin again, but we also went out to Teotihuacan, where the pyramids are. During the day, of course. So this is about 2,400 years old, and made into pyramids then. Very impressive, actually, how that happened. How many of you have been to Teotihuacan? No. That's a map of the whole area. And this is the red part's the pyramids, but the whole area is where people used to live. And it's been partly reconstructed. There you can see the pyramid. Mm-hmm. And there's a museum there. Some of the artifacts, they're over 2,000 years old. Not sure what that is. And then there are things for sale. And a very pretty walk.
Did you climb up the pyramid?
Okay, I didn't climb up the pyramids. Hilda caught me.
I did,
You did, good.
when I could walk.
Yes, well, I didn't feel I could walk. So I had a nice time on the ground. I talked to a lot of people. I bought the shawl, so it wasn't a total loss. And my friends did walk up. I think I did too many years
It's
ago.
coming down.
Yeah. This was in the museum. Beautiful pieces there. This is so typical Mexican art, although it could pass for Egyptian art.
Do the people here know about the sacrifices that were made?
Let's talk, oh, the sacrifices that were made. No,
at the top?
we'll talk about it later. You can tell us all about it.
I'll leave it to you.
She was, I don't know anything about it. She was a singer there where we were eating, which is this place. Somebody's got their cell phone on. This is, my hostess there. She's teaches psychology at the medical school in Mexico City. This is her friend who knows a lot about history. And they advertised this chilies en nogada, which is a seasonal dish, I think September. And it's got nuts and pomegranate seeds and everything. I don't know whether you can find it in San Diego, but I hope to. Looks delicious.
Is it chicken?
No, I don't think so.
Chili.
There's some of these characters around. Another altar. This one has a lot of the things that we talked about. You can see the sugar skulls and some of the candies, probably tequilas on there, the paper cutouts, the marigolds. I don't see a picture of the dead person, but skeleton. It's a pretty one. This is this row of interesting restaurants near the pyramids. This is my friend. My friend Rob from Holland was another speaker at this conference, and the man in the middle is a history expert. A lot of flowers were blooming even in November. So on the way back to Mexico City, you see all these buildings, houses. I don't know whether they're slums or not, but one thing about them is they were very colorful. And very crowded together, by the way. This was in the Palace de Bellas Artes. This is the restaurant, and this is the tickets to the Ballet Folklorico. This is the inside of the Palace de Bellas Artes. Some of the dancers. I've seen this before several times, but it's really quite a wonderful sight. Somewhere I read about the tradition of macho men, and there's a word for women and how it all fits together in Mexico society. So I don't know if that's still prevalent, but that's a very good depiction of macho men, I think, and feminine women, I guess. Mariachis, beautiful dresses. The arch. This is the interior of the Palacio de Bellas Artes. And some beautiful,
Alfombres.
what are they?
Alfombres, the designs on the, like rugs.
Like rugs, yeah. They were really beautiful. Here's some more.
But they're
Made of flowers.
Yeah.
I guess in 2 days they're gone. These folks are a little morbid. But their soul's coming back from the dead, so I guess it's okay. And I guess these are people assemble on this carpet. She was very glamorous. There were things being sold, of course, as usual. Nice things. And that's it. So that's that singer, dancer's part of the folklorico. I just mentioned this. My friend Rob from Holland came and spent a few days with us, and we took him to Old Town. And there was almost as much going on in Old Town in the 2 square blocks, or whatever it is there, that there was in Mexico City. So it's a good place if you can't get to Mexico to go to celebrate Day of the Dead. And definitely see Coco. It's a wonderful movie. That's it. So, okay, Hilda, tell us about the sacrifices of the pyramid and anything else that you know, because I don't. Where are you?